Chapter 1. The Voice Beside the Highway. For years, thousands of drivers passed the same man beside an Ohio highway without looking twice. His coat was worn. His cardboard sign asked for help. To most people, he had already disappeared into the landscape. Then one driver lowered his window and asked him to speak. The voice that came back did not sound like the roadside. It was deep, polished, and effortless. The voice of late-night radio, movie trailers, and stations signing on before dawn. In a few seconds, the man everyone had overlooked became impossible to ignore. His name was Ted Williams. The internet would call him the man with the golden voice. Within days, millions would hear him. Television studios would compete for his story. Employers would offer him work. America believed it had witnessed a miracle. But the cameras captured only the most marketable moment. They did not capture what addiction had already taken, or how difficult recovery would remain after fame arrived. This is not a story about a voice rescuing a homeless man. It is a story about what attention can change, and what it cannot. Chapter 2. Before the viral moment. Long before the cardboard sign, Ted wanted to work in radio. As a young man, he discovered that his voice could make ordinary words sound important. He trained it. He learned timing, breath, and the rhythm of an announcer who could hold a listener without being seen. He found work in broadcasting. For a time, the dream was real, but alcohol and drugs gradually entered the space where discipline had once lived. Jobs disappeared. Relationships broke. Arrests and instability followed. A talented voice remained, but the life around it became harder to hold together. Homelessness was not one dramatic fall. It was an accumulation of losses: employment, trust, housing, health, and the belief that tomorrow could be different. By the time drivers encountered Ted near Columbus, the man holding the sign carried both a practiced gift and years of damage. That contradiction is why the original clip was so powerful. Viewers expected desperation. Instead, they heard mastery. In one sentence, Ted violated the story people had already written about him. The voice had never disappeared. The world had simply stopped asking him to use it. Chapter 3. 48 Hours of Attention. The roadside video spread with extraordinary speed in January 2011. News programs replayed it. Radio hosts called. Reporters arrived. Job offers appeared from organizations that, days earlier, did not know Ted existed. The numbers created their own momentum. Every new view made the story more valuable to the next newsroom. A man who had been ignored in public suddenly had almost no privacy at all. There were offers for voice work and broadcasting. There were interviews, flights, bright studios, microphones, makeup chairs, and people telling Ted that his life had changed forever. He was reunited with his mother after years apart. The images looked like the final scene of a film. But 48 hours is enough time to change a schedule. It is not enough time to rebuild a person. Ted had moved from the stress of survival into the stress of instant celebrity without a quiet bridge between them. He was expected to sound grateful, remain inspiring, and perform recovery while millions watched. America had fallen in love with the transformation before the transformation had time to happen. Chapter 4. America demanded a perfect ending. Viral stories are built around emotional speed. A stranger is discovered. A hidden talent is revealed. Opportunity arrives. The audience receives a clean ending and moves on feeling hopeful. Real recovery does not move at internet speed. Ted entered treatment during the first explosion of attention, but the process was complicated. Public appearances and personal struggles unfolded almost at the same time. Every setback threatened the inspiring version of the story that television wanted to preserve. This created a cruel misunderstanding. Some viewers believed that because Ted had been offered work, money, and recognition, addiction should simply release him. If he struggled again, they saw ingratitude instead of illness. They asked how someone could waste such an extraordinary chance. But opportunity and recovery are not the same thing. A job may provide income. Housing may provide safety. Recognition may restore dignity. None of them automatically treats dependency, trauma, grief, or the patterns built over many years. The golden voice made Ted employable. It did not make him invulnerable. Chapter 5. Fame is not treatment. There is a sentence at the center of Ted Williams's story that should be allowed to stand in silence. Fame is not treatment. Attention can open a door, but it cannot walk through the door every morning. Money can remove immediate danger, but it cannot guarantee emotional stability. Applause can make a person feel visible, but it cannot replace medical care, accountability, community, or time. Recovery is usually built from actions too ordinary to become viral. Attending an appointment, answering a difficult phone call, taking prescribed medication, avoiding an old environment, apologizing, trying again after failure, and returning the next day. Those moments do not create dramatic headlines. They are repetitive. They are private. They often happen after public interest has moved somewhere else. Ted did work again. His voice returned to radio and commercial projects. There were periods of sobriety and stability. Those achievements were real. So were the relapses and continuing struggles. Both truths can occupy the same life. Recovery can produce meaningful progress without becoming permanent protection from pain. Chapter 6. The relapse nobody wanted to see. The public prefers a survivor who remains inside the role assigned to him. When the person struggles again, the audience may feel that its hope was betrayed. But Ted never owed the world a perfect redemption arc. Relapse does not mean treatment was meaningless. It means addiction can be chronic, dangerous, and resistant to simple endings. It also means support is most important when the story is no longer inspirational. The years after the viral clip included work, interviews, attempts at recovery, and renewed difficulty. Fame did not erase the history Ted carried into it. Nor could strangers cheering through a screen provide the consistent support of a treatment team or stable community. This does not remove Ted's responsibility for his choices. Compassion and accountability are not opposites. A person can be responsible for seeking help while still needing systems strong enough to make that help available. The more useful question is not, why did he waste his chance? It is, why did we imagine one chance would be enough? Chapter 7. Returning to treatment in 2026. In March 2026, the Columbus Dispatch reported that Ted, then 68, was again struggling with substance use and seeking help. Days later, the newspaper reported that he had entered a treatment program at the Dayton Veterans Affairs Medical Center. There is no honest reason to turn that decision into another instant miracle. Entering treatment is a beginning, not proof of an ending. The future remains private and uncertain, but walking through that door matters. 15 years after the world first heard the golden voice, Ted's life still resisted the simple shape of a viral video. There had been achievement, loss, recovery, relapse, work, grief, and another request for help. The public once celebrated him for revealing a voice. This later moment asks us to recognize a different kind of courage, admitting that recognition and talent were not enough. Treatment is not a failure of will. Returning to treatment is not proof that every earlier effort was false. Sometimes it is evidence that a person is still choosing life, even after the story became complicated. Chapter 8. After everyone stops watching. The most famous image of Ted Williams is still the roadside encounter. A cardboard sign, a passing car, and a voice that seems to belong somewhere else. But perhaps the more important image is quieter. An older man approaches a treatment center without millions of viewers waiting for a performance. There is no guaranteed job offer on the other side of the door. No television host can finish the chapter for him. That is where recovery becomes real, not in the moment everyone watches, but in the decision made after attention fades. Ted's story does not prove that talent can rescue anyone from homelessness. Human dignity should never depend on possessing a gift impressive enough to go viral. People deserve housing, healthcare, safety, and compassion before they entertain us. The Golden Voice helped the world notice Ted. It did not create his value. Millions heard him in 2011. The harder question is whether we can still see him when the voice is tired, the ending is uncertain, and the chapter no longer feels inspirational. Sometimes the most invisible chapter begins after everyone stops watching. Subscribe to Invisible Chapters for true stories about the lives society too often overlooks.